All right.
Same thing. Don't use my phone to make noise.
And we are live. So here is the workout plan for today. If you're looking for a copy of this, check our feed on Instagram. We also post this on Facebook. So if you want to follow along, you can just open one of those up. Okay, great. So this morning we are live with Coach Anna.
Hi.
Hey, good morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A nice Saturday morning. So make sure you go outside today later.
Yeah, it's supposed to be almost 60 degrees in some places, so that'll be nice.
Yep.
Maybe get the sidewalk chalk out, try some plyometric drills.
Yes.
Very cool. What do you got planned for us today?
All right. So we've got our warm up. We're going to start with a series. We're going to do 30 seconds for each of the exercises. We're going to spin through it 3 times in a row. So the first exercise is going to be a half squat, half deadlift. So it's going to be, you're going to be on one foot. You're going to do your half squat, bending the knee, and then you're going to get your half deadlift by reaching down, coming up, straighten everything, and repeat. If you're not feeling balanced, instead of doing the half or the single leg, you could still do this with 2 feet on the ground. You're not going to get quite the same. Or you could just add a whole squat there if you're not feeling balanced to do the single leg. So we'll do one leg 30 seconds, switch to the other leg for 30 seconds. Our second activity, we're going to jump right into these, will be just a squat to a curtsy lunge. So you step back, right through, back to our squat, then to the other side. So we're just going 30 seconds. You're not going to get a lot of reps in here. If you want to turn up the intensity, you can add a hop to these to make it a little bit more intense if you're more advanced. Our third activity is a side to side lunge. We're just going to shift our weight, trying to do our full range of motion. Go as low as you are comfortable doing. If you can't go this low, maybe you're here, that's okay. And then the last one is a glute bridge with an overhead reach. So that one will be on the ground. Make sure you have a place where you can lay down. We're gonna be on the ground, and you're gonna use your hips to drive up. Take one hand, reach it over, come back down, glute bridge up, stretch over, glute bridge up, stretch over to the opposite side. So like I said, we've got 30 seconds on each of those 4 things, and then we're gonna do it 3 times in a row to get your glutes firing so you're ready to use all those big muscles while you're doing your fencing footwork later on. So the other thing to know before we get started, there are some household items you may need today for later on. So if you need to, you want to keep up with me today, go grab the household items now.
Yeah, what are those things?
So you need some sort of object. Could be a can. I've got a little weighted ball. You could use a stuffed animal. It doesn't have to be a super heavy object because we're just going to use it to work our fencing arm.
Yeah, canned food is great for that kind of thing.
Yes. So I want something that you can rest in your hand. You don't have to some giant object, something you can gently rest in your hand. Some sort of band, like a scrunchie works great. If you've got your hair tied up, a rubber band is also fine. If you're feeling like you're super strong, you might want a couple of them to add some resistance.
Yeah, like a produce rubber band would be
Yes.
really good.
Produce rubber band. Then you want some sort of stick or fencing blade, it doesn't matter. And you're going to use that rubber band to tie an object to your sword or stick. That object could be a hacky sack, it could be a sock, or it could be a couple socks, whatever you've got lying around. It doesn't have to be super heavy, it's a small object.
Okay, so we don't want to take the can of green beans and rubber band that to the stick, right?
No, we're not rubber banding our can of green beans to our stick or sword.
Okay, so that's for a different thing. So you want some other thing like a sock or something
Right.
Like just a little?
A little thing.
Okay.
And if you feel like you need something a little bit more than a sock, you could use a couple of socks squished together. I'm using a hacky sack. It's fine. You could even use a small stuffed toy if you have like a smaller one.
Yeah, or like so Joseph Biebel over in Wisconsin, I was watching him do a warm-up at, I think it was like the turkey meat or something like that. But I think he had like some batteries that he taped to like a tube or something that he fit over the end of his foil. And so he'd, do his warm-up with like, just, two like dead AA batteries.
Something you can easily put at the end of your stick or sword. It will stay there. And like I said, I just use rubber bands. You can tape it on if you want, but I don't like tape on my sword unless I need to put tape on my sword, so.
Foilists at home are rioting.
Hey, but that's a need to put tape on the sword situation. But I need to get to the screws and springs in my epee.
Fair enough.
So.
All right, so what do we got first?
All right, so first is that half squat, half deadlift. Remember, put 30 seconds on your timer. If you want, you could just put like 5 minutes on the timer because the whole set should take 5 minutes if we go straight through with no downtime. Or you could put the all 3 on, and if you've got a Tabata timer, you could stick it in there too.
Ooh.
So pick your leg, you're gonna do your squat. Oh, start your timer. Go, and do your deadlift. If you need to, you can set your toe down for some balance. And we're just going smooth and slow. You can change the intensity by changing the speed. So make sure you bend your knee to get that half squat in. If you fall over, reset yourself. And switch legs. Reset your clock. Bend. This one also helps your balance, that strong supporting leg.
And it's worth noting for those of you who are just joining in,
All right.
there's a couple items you'll need. We'll put this out on YouTube if at all possible. We've been having some issues with uploading these things afterwards, but we did one successfully. But in any case, so if you want to go back and try these things again with the extra items, you'll be able to check our YouTube, and that should be up pretty soon after the stream.
All right, we switch to that squat. The curtsy lunge. If you're not into the curtsy lunge, you could just do a regular front lunge. All right, side to side. If you're feeling real fancy, you could get low for all of these, depending on what kind of stretch you're going for. I'm getting low so I can be ready to go to the ground. My next one. Here's your glute bridge to overhead reach. Hips up, reach to the back. Hips up, reach to the back. Start your timer. Just think extra credit if you forget to start your timer. You can drop the overhead reach if you're not feeling that today. the beginning. So again, we're gonna do that half squat, half deadlift. Again, if you're not feeling one leg at a time, you can use your supporting one for balance. If you need to, you could just do the squat on the single leg. Use a chair, that also works. But get your timer. Here we go. You do not have to touch the ground on this. Go where your range of motion is. Switch feet. You probably find that you have one foot that you're way more balanced on than the other. Oh, here I am, terrible with the timer. Switch to your next thing. So we've got our squat to curtsy lunge. If you're not feeling the curtsy lunge, just do a reverse lunge or a front one. It's up to you. Here we go. Squeeze your butt on the squats. And side to sides. Again, I went really low on the first ones, but you could do it up here. Just get that shifting of your weight. You don't need to round over. Keep the back flat. So I'll do some up high. And you could do some low. All right. Glute bridge with the reach. Again, if you're not feeling the reach, that's fine. Drive those hips up. And there we go. We've got one more set. Again, our first one are those half squat, half deadlifts. Find that stable position. Whoop. Make sure you challenge yourself. Okay, switch feet. And start. About 5 seconds left. Good. Okay, you've got your squat to lunge. Again, you can make this whatever lunge you like. I'm going to do that curtsy lunge. halfway there. Again, if you want to switch to a different lunge, do side lunge. You could do forward. You could take it back. If you're feeling more adventurous, you can make those lunges bounce with the squats. All right, side to sides. Again, take it to a height that's comfortable for you. You can start up high. Again, I want hips facing forward for this one. You could change the width of your feet to change the depth. I'm gonna move a little wider, and I'm gonna do some that are low. All right, last time on your glute bridges. Dust off your feet if you need to. And let's go. Up and reach. 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 Nope, did I start this? I did. Last one. All right. Put your timers down. I'm gonna do some stretching. I'm gonna start with my arms. Arms up front. Big circles back. I'm gonna do 5 or 6 one way. Change to the other way. I'm going slow, full range of motion on my circles. I'm gonna do open wide. Give yourself a big hug, stretch it that way. Open wide, open up those shoulders, take it in. I'm gonna do some pulses. 2, 3, hug, 2, 3, 2, 3, hug, 2, 3. I'm gonna open to a diagonal. Same with those pulses. 2, 3, cross, 2, 3, 2, 3, cross, 2, 3, 2, 3, cross, 2, 3, 2, 3, cross, 2, 3. Got it. Okay, shoulders up and around behind. Some nice big shoulder circles. I'm going to change directions, take them forward. Back. Forward. Good. All right. So I'm going to do some sweeps. Get those calves. So take one foot out.
My favorite.
I know, Tyler's favorite. I'm going to do zombie arms out. Sit back and hinge. Sweep and up. Sit it back. Sweep. And up, sit it back, sweep, and up, sit it back, sweep, and up, sit it back, sweep, and up. We're going to switch to the other side. Again, arms out, sit it back, sweep, and up, 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 sit it back, sweep, and up. Good. All right. Ooh, wow. My favorite one. So we're gonna do a little balance. We did some earlier, but I like working on those single leg, getting that supporting leg, and our knees some stability. My favorite thing. So hips facing forward, start with your feet flat on the ground, about shoulder width apart. Find your balance on one foot. Take it as low or as high as is a challenge for you without falling over. Once you have your balance, we're going to take our ankle and point our toe to the ground. Flex it up to the ceiling. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Down
take that knee, open it to the side, open that hip up. Find your balance here. You can take it lower if you need to. Find that challenging spot and do some ankle circles once you're balanced. I'm gonna do 2 or 3 to one side, rotate the other way. Good, set it down, shake it out, switch feet. If you're having trouble finding your balance, make sure that front toe is pushing into the ground. Keep those hips forward. Once you're balanced, let's take that toe, point it to the ground, flex it to the sky, to the ground, to the sky. Up, down, and up, down, I feel like maybe last time I was saying up and down and pointing my foot in the opposite direction. I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
I don't know if we were able to post that one, so it might be gone forever.
Oh.
But we'll see. It might be saved
Yeah.
somewhere.
So I open to the side, find your balance, and then do those ankle circles. Again, 2 or 3 to one side, 2 or 3 to the other. If you're starting, just reset yourself. Find your balance. Go again. Good. Shake it out. I'm gonna go, again, hips facing forward. I'm just gonna go up on my toes, and I'm gonna do some walking in place. If you've got the space, you can go forward and backwards, doing tiny, tiny steps with your feet. And go as tall as you can. You should really feel it in your calves. Good. All right, I'm gonna switch to toes up on my heels. Tiny steps. You can do them in place. You can walk them. If you're walking, make sure you've got space and no obstacles that you're running into. Good. All right, I'm gonna open my feet out and do small steps with a turned out stance. Again, you can do these in place if you're short on space. Okay, I'm gonna turn it in, so that's in from here, spiraling your hips and thighs. Squeeze those glutes. Just stand nice and tall. If you want an extra challenge, you can put your arms up or out to help you balance. Good. All right. So we're gonna move on to the footwork. So we're gonna do some of my favorite footwork. We're gonna start at our attention position. I don't think we salute much when we've done the live stream, so I'll do our salute for footwork just so we practice, because you still have to do that when you come back to bowing. And when you salute, you're social distancing, you're far away. So we're gonna go up on our toes, sink it down, come back up, set our heels down, and readjust if we've shifted our heels out. So we're gonna go up, sink it down, slowly bring it up, set the heels down, up tall, sink it down, bring it up, set the heels down, up tall, sink it down, bring it up. You're a really slow elevator. Check your feet if you need to. Up, sink it down, bring it up. Don't let your back hunch over. If you can't go down as far as I do, go down a little less. You can stop at the second floor instead of the basement. Up tall, sink it down, take it up. Good. We're gonna switch to the other side and find your on guard here. If this is your off side, make sure that you extra check the position of your feet. Up, sink it down, don't fall over, bring it up, sink it down, take it up, sink it down, take it up, 2 more, up, sink it down, take it up, last one, up, sink it down, take it up, good. All right, I'm gonna do our lunge. I'm calling it deconstructed lunge today because we're gonna break it into pieces. If you haven't been keeping up with us, or maybe you're newer, this is a good way to think about doing all the parts of your lunge. And we've got a couple footwork patterns where you can put it all together.
If you do a really good job, you might get a Michelin star, right?
My deconstructed lunge. All right, so I'm gonna start in on guard, so if you were at attention, again, take that 1 step forward, sink it down, weight on both your feet. We're gonna get our arm at fencing position, and we're gonna go up on our toes. See a theme today, up on our toes. So I'm not up like this on my toes, just a little bit, you know, ideally a piece of paper thin, but your front toe should be pushing into the ground. We're gonna thrust, back heel, push it in, kick it out, bend that back leg, push it back in, up on your toes, ready to start again. So thrust, heel, kick it out, bend the knee, bring it back. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out, bring it back. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out, but not need to bring it back in. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out, bring it in. 2 more on this side. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out, bring it in. Up, thrust, heel, kick it out, bring it in. I like to do everything on both sides, so we're gonna do 5 on the other side too. All right.
Also, if you caught the live stream yesterday, Alex was working on back leg activation in the lunge. This is a perfect opportunity
Yes.
to do that thing. Anna's doing a great job of getting that back
Especially
leg.
on that recovery. Use that back leg, that back knee to support your recovery. So again, find your on guard position. You should be on your opposite side. We're gonna go up, thrust, heel, kick. Bend the knee to recover. Up, thrust, heel, kick, knee and recover. Up, heel, kick, recover. Up, heel, kick, recover. Up, heel, kick, recover. Last one. Up, heel, kick, recover. All right. So we're gonna move to just some advances and retreats just to get moving. But we'll quickly do our advanced lunge, and then we've got 2 advanced lunge with a retreat, and then we've got a change in tempo with a slow advance, fast advance. So find the space that you have. If you need to, you can do these in place, depending on your space. I think Coach Tyler said earlier this week, you could be in a closet almost and still do your fencing footwork, at least your advances and retreats. So we're gonna try and keep it small space, but we're gonna do just regular advances, front foot, back foot, and then our retreats when we get to the end of our space. So we'll go back to the other edge of our carpet, the other wall, whatever space you have. So we're just gonna move back and forth. If you're doing them in place, you can give yourself a count, maybe 5 or 6 advances in place, and then 5 or 6 retreats in place. So it's sort of up to you based on the space that you have. I'm gonna switch and do my other leg. This will be the last one I switch and make you do the other leg, but you should still do the other leg on your own for the other ones. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry guys, if you can hear that, that's my phone going crazy. All right, so we're gonna move to advanced lunge. Again, I'm not gonna make you do both sides, but you should do both sides because it's fun. It helps you work both sides of your body so you don't get one of those giant quads on one side and a weak, sad one on the other. Go measure yourself. If you never do footwork on the other side, I think you will find a difference. So advanced lunge, we've got 1, 2, front foot, back foot. Again, we've got our thrust, lunge, and the need to recover. You can take it about that speed, so you really work on your form. It's great to do when you're doing your at-home practice. We're not quite going for our super speed, run someone down. You can do that, but do it intentionally. Right now, we're gonna work on our form today. If you just wanna go fast, you don't need me to go fast. Advance, lunge, recover. So we're going to move to 2 advances. We're going to keep those at the same tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2. Front foot, back foot, front foot, back foot. And then the last footwork pattern we do, we'll change the speed of those. So they're not just single tempo. All right. Find a space. Advance, lunge, recover. I'm doing my thrust right before my lunge. If you are more advanced, you can change where your thrust happens on your front foot or your back foot. Oh, darn it. I promised you guys a retreat, and I just did 2 advances and a lunge. So I'll add my retreat in now. All right, 2 advances, thrust, lunge, recover, retreat. Now you can get more in your space. So we're going to add that changing tempo. So your choice, you can either do 1 slow, 1 fast, but keep the size the same. Or I'm going to do a slow one, regular size, fast one, small size. So I'm going to change my distance to change the tempo there. So again, 1 slow, 1 fast, lunge, then recover. And retreat. Slow, quick, lunge, recover, retreat. down and back one more time. All right, last time back. All right, so here, if you need to get water, now's your chance to get water. If you haven't gotten your extra supplies yet, this is the part where you're gonna start to need those. So again, you need some small object. I'm using a small weighted ball. It's maybe a pound or so. You could use a can. If you're more advanced at lifting, maybe use a big can, or maybe you have dumbbells at home. Use a light one to start. If it's really easy with a light one, you go through and do the arm work again with a heavier one and find your challenging spot. But don't start super heavy, because then you're gonna get tired. And then you're gonna be doing all your blade work like this with your sword pointed at someone's foot. All right, so you're gonna need a ball or can. I'm gonna keep mine right here.
And while people are grabbing things, what else do they need to grab?
Oh, so you need to have some sort of stick or a sword if you've got a sword at home. Yep. And you need some sort of rubber band. Again, if you don't have that stuff right now, you could do it without it. And then add it later once you've got the things. So hopefully people can find like a hair scrunchie or a rubber band at home. Let's see, some sort of stretchy thing. And then on the end of my sword, for the end, we're gonna use some sort of object. Again, you can reuse that rubber band, or you could use some tape there to put on the end of your sword. You can roll up a sock or a couple of socks and use that. So I recommend starting out with something small, and if you find that that's not challenging, adding more as you go to find a place that's challenging for you, where you can still keep up your form as you do it. If your form is slacking, but you're lifting something heavy, then you're not really helping your blade work and point control. So we're gonna start out in an on guard position. We're gonna take our arm, stick it out, and we're gonna make big arm circles in sort of our fencing on guard stance. We'll start off big. We're gonna do 3 or 4 one way, 3 or 4 the other. We're gonna try and keep our back shoulder nice and low and not get it tight and scrunched up. And change direction. And change direction. And change direction. All right, I'm gonna switch to the other arm. I'm gonna do this in my fencing stance. Again, big circles one way. You can turn this into a whole arm workout by making this multiple sets or going for time if you need a challenge. Again, I'm doing 4 or 5 one direction and changing directions. Good. I'm gonna switch back to my other foot. This time I'm gonna make a spiral. So I'm gonna start big, spiral into a small, tiny spiral, and then unwind my spiral and get large. And bring the spiral back down. So if you're turning this into sets, big spiral to little spiral and little spiral back to the big one, counts as 1.
Could you do this with the weight if you wanted to?
You could do this with the weight already, if that's where you're at. You will tire your arm out very quickly. Start with a very small weight first. And again, it depends on if you're gonna go for a long time and see where you're at endurance-wise, or if you're just trying to like see how much weight you can do it with. All right, I'm gonna switch to my other side here. Again, big to small. And then unwind your spiral. And make that spiral back down tight. And unwind your spiral. And you can change the direction of your spiral. But if you wind it in and then wind it out, you should be getting both directions. All right, I'm gonna do one more spiral on this side. Here's my big one to a little one. And there's my little to big. All right, so here's where you want your object. If you want to get fancy, you could have 2 objects, one for each hand. I'm just going to do one in my thrusting hand for now. And again, both sides. So find your on guard position. I'm going to hold my hand up, and I'm not squeezing my object. I'm just going to rest it gently. So a small can is really good for this because it probably won't roll off, and it's not too large that you can't hold it nice and easy. So we're just gonna do thrust, keep those shoulders nice and open. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like it's my mock lunge and have my back hand open up. I'm gonna try not to let my shoulder scrunch up and get tight. If you get that tight shoulder, it'll hurt your extension of your thrust. And if you want an extra challenge, you could add a small object in your backhand too. Just depends on what you've got lying around. Okay, I'm gonna switch sides. So, one of the things we can lose when we're not practicing a lot is our arm strength and our point control. For my small fencers, even those who are coming to practice, you'll notice when they fence, they can start off having really nice form when they're fencing, and they fence for a long time. They get really excited, but their swords start dropping. They start dragging their sword because they haven't built up the arm strength that some of our other fencers have. So we get to use the small swords for a while for them. But if they start practicing with bad form, we want to make sure we give them a break so they can go back to fencing and keep their form nice. So this is one way we can help keep our arm strength while we're away from practice. All right, so that's our weighted thrust. You can make this more challenging by changing the weight. You could do this for time. How long can you go before your arm starts to you can't extend all the way? Then you know, oh, that's my break time. When can I come back and keep my nice fencing thrust going? So those are good ways that you can even track your fencing arm strength progress. Is you could do those timed ones, you could do weighted ones. I like the timed ones because we're gonna be in our bout for 3 minutes. So you know how long you need that arm to last before you get a break. So you could do 1 minute, then a break. You could do the full 3 minutes and see if you can keep that arm strength going. All right, so here's where you want your scrunchie or your rubber band. So you can use it with a regular scrunchie. These are less resistance usually. The bigger rubber bands have more. If you are more advanced, you might be using multiple bands, or maybe you have a fancy finger device for this. Some people have those. So here we're gonna work on our forearm. Just gonna put it on the ends and open wide. And if that's too easy, add your extra rubber band if you have more than one. You can change the angle of your hand, give you some different ways to stretch. But this is nice for your forearms as well. You could even talk to yourself as you do this, because you're social distancing and you don't have anyone to talk to about fencing, so you can talk to your fencing hand puppet and work your wrist and that forearm. So again, find that spot, see how many you can do, and then switch hands. You can change the angle. But this is a nice everyday stretch you can do. And you can do this pretty much wherever you are. All right. So if you need more of these, I'll let you do those on your own. We're gonna keep up with our arm and fingers with our stick. So I'm gonna use a stick for the first part because I already stuck my weight on my sword. I don't think I'm ready to do a blade crawl with a weighted sword yet. So take your stick or sword and just hold it lightly in your fingertips, and you can crawl your fingers up the ends. You can go the other way. And get those finger dexterity, because we like to use our fingers when we're doing our aiming. You'll find that one direction is more challenging for you than another. And the higher you go up on your sword, the harder it's going to be to change directions. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Try not to just do this with it, because then you're cheating. Really try and make your fingers crawl all the way, even though it gets hard. And especially for me, going this way is the hard way. Going down, you get an assist from gravity, because gravity is our friend sometimes.
It's worth noting, if you are using your fencing sword, this is probably common sense, but you want the guard down. You might run into some trouble if the guard is above your hand.
Yes, because then it wobbles this way. It's extra challenging. We'll go with that. Extra
There you go.
challenging. Also, if you're using your sword, check your sword for any like little metal shards that might be hanging out. Our swords get beaten up, so like they've got little indents. Sometimes they can get sharp. So if you're using your sword, make sure you give it a quick inspection so you don't get metal slivers, because those aren't very fun to have. All right, so I'm gonna switch to, I have one more thing I didn't write on the list. So we did a lot of things with the fingers right there and our wrist. So I'm just gonna take that same stick and maybe do some side twists, just to get everything all nice and relaxed again if you got tense, before I move on to adding weight to my sword. You can do as many of those as you like. All right, so here I added my object to the end of my sword. If you want more of a challenge, put it towards the end. You get more torque because you have a long lever arm. Fencing physics lesson of the day. If you want less of a challenge, you can adjust where that weight is and change the difficulty level. You can also add more weighted or different weighted objects to the end. So here, all I'm gonna do is have my arm in sort of a half lunge. And if you have something like a doorknob at home, or if you're able to put a little circle up on the wall as like a spot to look at, I'm just going to use my fingertips to make tiny circles here. And I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 going clockwise and, like 5 to 10 counterclockwise. And I'm just going to repeat. So it's really nice to have like a circle on your wall, or again, like a doorknob, something small and round that you can rotate around and give you a sort of visual thing to look at. If you need more things to keep you occupied, because this can be kind of monotonous to try and do these small circles, you could put a marker on the end and color something. See if you could write your name. See if you can write your name in cursive using your sword. And try and use just your fingers to make those circles rather than letting your ankle flop or your arm make the big circle. So right now we're working on just using that fingertips so that we can have our nice point control. If you have small kids, or you remember when you were little and doing handwriting exercises, they had those like dotted lines that you could trace. You can print some of those off and then put the marker on and try and draw those tracing words with your sword hand. Also very fun. If you've got a stick, the stick is kind of nice because like my sword has it's right-handed. If you have a stick, you can do the same thing with the stick. And then you can switch hands. You can be an ambidextrous fencer if you want to try using your opposite hand.
If that's way too hard, you can also, with a stick, you can hold it a little closer to the front, which makes the stick shorter, and then you might have more success.
So you can hold it shorter on your stick. That's also like moving the weight closer here. So again, if it's a little too challenging, you can see how when I moved it down, I got really big right away. You can change the challenge level by adjusting where the weight is. And if you're brand new, or maybe you're not used to doing lots of fencing arm things, just use your sword as it is. And I recommend doing some with your sword unweighted afterwards, so you get the feel of doing it like you would once you're ready to come back to fencing. All right, so that's what I've got for you guys today. Some fun things to try at home with your sword, and hopefully you had a nice fencing workout. I'm going to sign off for today, so find your attention position, get your sword or stick or arm at attention position, and I'll do my salute. Thank you for coming. Tyler, any announcements?
Nothing yet. I mean, if you haven't filled out our online learning survey, make sure you check that out. Link is in our bio on Instagram. We got a pinned post on Facebook, and I'll throw that in the YouTube description for this as well.
Yeah. So let us know some feedback so we can give you more things that you want in the live streams or the YouTube content that they've been putting out. All right. Have a great Saturday.